This is the cable for my in-ear monitors, and this one right here for my right ear went bad. So for today, we get the other set of cans. It is what it is. Anyway, there's been an awful lot of changes for Ballistics and other things in the game that have happened since the patch went live. Wanted to give it a couple of days, make sure that all of it got adequately cataloged, and then give you guys the news. So let's talk about everything. Also, this video is sponsored, which means you shouldn't see any ads. But if you do, blame Google, because I have an ad segment to run in the middle of this, and I don't turn ads on for videos like this one. Okay? Oh, and I'll be live when this video is live, so come say hi on Twitch if you feel like it. Newsy news. Newsy news. Newsy news. Newsy news. Newsy news. Hey everybody, my name is Onepeg. This is another edition of the news where we're going to talk about a bunch of ballistics changes and other things. There were quite a few ammo changes, and I'm going to just run down the list in rapid fire form, but I'll make sure that there's text on the screen so that you guys can read along and know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, so first up, 7.6239 PS, which is a round that we have available at level 1 Prepper. Penetration was changed from 32 to 35, a little bit better. This gives it an almost guaranteed chance to penetrate a tier 3 helmet, which just about everyone in the game is kind of maxing out at right now. You can get your hands on tier 4s and better, but they're usually from like stash drops or something along those lines. You're not going to see a whole lot of bastions right now. Next, 7.6239 T45 had its damage increased by 2 points to 64. 5.4539 BP, which is a really pretty good round at the moment, had its damage decreased by 4 points to 45, penetration increased to 37, and its armor damage percentage was decreased from 49% to 35%. Real quick lesson for those of you that are curious about how armor damage is calculated. There's a check for the round against the armor that it hits. Depending on the tier of the armor, it does a little bit better in terms of protection. But suffice to say that if, for instance, in the case of BP, the damage is 45, what this says basically is that 35% of that 45 damage would be applied to the durability of the armor that it hits. Hey, what's up, everybody? Onepeg with the Dad Hawk here. Time to pay the bills. Let's talk for a quick second about internet privacy. I play video games. I used to play video games competitively. Sometimes people that play video games competitively aren't always that nice. And I don't just mean over VoIP. Sometimes those competitive players that, I guess, get a little miffed for whatever reason, decide that they're going to go a step further. DDoS attacks, getting your personal information, and sometimes worse. As time goes on, it seems that privacy is getting to be more important than ever. And using something like a VPN can be a huge step in the direction of safeguarding your privacy. But if you're going to use a VPN, you want to make sure it's something that's going to be relatively reliable. Good customer service would be a plus, a low cost would also be ideal, but above all, you want it to be fast. And if you can help it, easy to use. Lucky for us, Surfshark VPN happens to check the boxes in all of those categories. By utilizing something called IP masking, you have the ability to switch your location to a different IP address, making it harder for people to track you. For instance, if I wanted to be located in Toronto, Canada, I simply click that and boom, I'm connected. Pretty easy, right? But there are other features that Surfshark also offers. But did you know that Surfshark also provides antivirus? It's true. It's built right into the app. If you were to sign up for Surfshark right now, they will give you 83% off plus an additional 3 months absolutely free. And if you want to try out their antivirus for this month, they are also doing another promotion where you can get the antivirus completely free of charge as an added bonus. All you have to do is click on the link in the description and use code ONEPEG at checkout, and you will get that discount. It works out to be something shy of about $2 a month. A pretty fantastic deal if you ask me. The license is unlimited. You can use it on every single device that you possess, your friends possess, your family, your long-lost relatives, whatever you want to use it on, you can use it. An unlimited number of devices. I think that's probably the best deal that you're going to find anywhere for something like this. So give it a shot. You've got nothing to lose, and they offer a money-back guarantee for the first 30 days. Check out the link. Let me know what you think in the comments. And once again, I want to say thank you to Surfshark for being my longest-running sponsor for these YouTube videos ever. If you were shooting against, say, a tier 4 chest piece, 35% of that 45 damage, it's like 12 damage or so, would actually transfer to the durability of the armor, okay? Higher percentage is better. In this case, it was a pretty significant nerf to BP. 5.4539 BT damage was decreased to 42, and its penetration was increased to 40. That actually makes this round even more lethal than what it was, although it's not going to carry damage for much further than, say, 80 meters or so. This is going to suffer from the same issue that a Golnik has, where if you're trying to one-tap a rogue, for instance, with 40 head HP, it's going to do a worse job at range. 54539 HP had its penetration increased by 1 point to 12, which is just about negligible, doesn't really matter. 54539 PP, armor damage increased to 38%, damage decreased to 44, and penetration increased to 36. 54539 PRS had its penetration decreased to 12. PRS was already a garbage round. I'm not sure why they did that, but I digress. 54539 PS had its damage decreased to 48. Still a decent round in the early game that we're sitting in at the moment. 54539 SP had its penetration increased to 13. Again, kind of a garbage round. Not really sure what the point is. 54539 Golnik had its armor damage reduced by 5% down to 55% from 60. That's a kind of a rough nerf, but a Golnik pretty much goes through every piece of armor in the game regardless, so it doesn't really matter. 9x39 SP5. Now, this had some significant changes. Armor damage increased by 8% to 60. Damage increased to 71. Penetration reduced to 28 from 38. That's actually a pretty significant nerf. But the recoil on it was changed from 0 benefit to -5 recoil, which actually makes this a desirable round if you're going to run an AS Val, because the Val right now is not very nice when it comes to recoil stats. 9x39 SPP. Armor damage down to 55 from 56%. Damage increased by 4 to 68. Penetration again nerfed by 10 full points. So instead of it reliably penning tier 5, it's now only going to reliably pen tier 4. It's at 40. And the recoil penalty, which was 20, is now 10, which actually makes this, again, much more favorable for recoil, but probably not something you're going to notice as much. 76254R BTGZH. Penetration was reduced from 59 to 55. 76254R PSGZH had its damage reduced by 2 points to 84. Still an incredibly good round. 76251 TCW. So the TCW SP rounds, 308, which is typically garbage for these. Damage was increased to 67 and penetration decreased to 34. This is still actually a really, really good round, especially in the early game. Don't sleep on that one. That one will wreck some people. 300 Blackout BCP had its penetration increased to 30 from 29. Probably a halfway decent round at this point in the game. 300 Blackout AP had its penetration increased to 48. Now, that will be a 2-shot on someone's tier 5 chest, and it's probably going to drop them. From here, that's all the ballistics changes. From here, let's talk about keys. So if you haven't noticed, most keys have had their durabilities changed. Standard keys that just go to normal doors, instead of them having like 100 uses, now have 40. Marked room keys that had 25 uses, like RBVO, customs marked, etc., that had 25 uses, now have 10. That's a pretty significant modification. The factory key had its durability changed from 50 to 20. So again, pretty substantial change. My assumption here is that BSG is seeing keys that aren't really being used all that much, to where the durability hasn't really mattered all that much. And now they're trying to keep somewhat, I guess, fresh the economy in terms of keys being used and then shuffled between hands. Remember, we can't drop keys anymore. So this actually keeps keys being desirable. There is still something to be said about the barter economy in this game. People don't really want to sell marked keys for like actual rubles. They tend to be much more apt to list them for like rivals armbands or something along those lines. The more people play, the more they'll likely need the keys. So again, this keeps people making and moving money. I don't think this is a bad change. I actually think this is okay. Oh, and reverting back to the ballistic stuff, don't worry, 556 is still complete and utter garbage. Oh, and for those of you wondering, all of this has come from the wiki. Okay, so props to the wiki bros. Go look at the Tarkov wiki. They work incredibly hard. It's all volunteer-based. Use them as a reference. They're trying to keep things as accurate as they possibly can. Okay, for those of you guys working on early gunsmith stuff, Gunsmith 1 and 3 is the same build as last wipe. No difference. Gunsmith 2 has a slight modification. You need an RP1 charging handle for the build for Gunsmith 2 for the 74U in order to make the ergo requirements. But for those of you that are still working on that stuff, Gunsmith 2, RP1 charging handle. All right? All right. Okay, and then last but certainly not least, let's talk about rogues. The three goons, Big Pipe, Bird Eye, and Knight, already seem to have had their spawning rates decreased. People had been reporting them an awful lot more often than they are now. On the first day of wipe, you saw people talking about how they were kind of spawning here and there and everywhere pretty regularly. People were talking about how they had seen them, fought them, etc., etc., etc. That seems to be happening about half as often now. I would say on average, if you had been used to seeing, or we had been seeing reports of people seeing them like 1 every 10 raids or so, they're now saying that they're seeing them like once every 20 raids. Also, if you're curious about what their hit points look like, well, here's some information for that. Big Pipe, 795 total HP. Bird Eye, 930 HP. Death Knight, 1,120 HP. That brings the cumulative total of their HP pools to 2,845. And remember, you're not just fighting one of them, you fight all 3 of them. One of them spots you, radios to the others, and then you get charged. And with the HP pool of the lower 2 bosses of 70 and Knight's head point HP pool of 80, you're not going to be able to one-shot, headshot any of them unless you get incredibly lucky with some really high flesh damage. Compound that with the 175 HP Thorax of Big Pipe and the 220 HP thoraxes of both Bird Eye and Death Knight. Good luck. You're going to need it. Also, in general, for the rogues themselves, not the bosses, but just the normie rogues, their spawns are completely different. It used to be that you saw 3 rogues on building 2 in the middle, and then 2 rogues on either one of the other 2 buildings, a couple of rogues up in front, and then there was like a 100% chance to have a group of 4 on the bottom of building 2 walking around outside, and then a group of 3 at the helicopter. All of that is different now. Now it seems like each spawn on the buildings has its own percentage rate to have a rogue or not. Sometimes you see a group at the helicopter, but that seems to be like incredibly rare. I mean, like, if you saw 1 in 30 raids, you'd probably be really lucky. The other ones seem like it's kind of a coin flip, like 50-50 on top of one of the buildings or not. I typically only see like 1 rogue, maybe 2, on top of each one of the different buildings. Usually there's like a single rogue that's going to roam between fixed positions and fire on you. And now that we can get up on the roofs, this kind of makes sense. BSG's trying to keep the number of rogues that are farmable down to a lower minimum. I have seen 1 group of 3 rogues patrolling between each of the 3 buildings. And it seems like they'll aggro on you and kind of chase you down the moment that you end up sniping one on the roof, and then approach a building. They'll stay aggroed on you and kind of like try to engage, but they're still incredibly farmable. The slow right lean peak and everything that I showed you guys in my guide works the same way. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for this one so far. As things change, get modified and whatnot, I will obviously let you know. If you guys have any bugs or anything that you think that would be if you guys have any bugs or anything that you think would be important for the community to know, please leave a comment and I will check it out and I will get back to you guys as soon as I am possibly able. Thank you guys so much for all of your time, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.